All right, ahead of what it looks like it's going to be an historic weekend for Liverpool. Delighted to be joined by Chris from the RedMen TV, who is already rubbing his hands in glee. Chris, how are you, sir?
Oh, mate, I am happy as Larry. This is going to be the greatest weekend of my entire life. Liverpool are about to lift the Premier League trophy in front of us. I've waited about 35 years for this. I was praying that Arsenal didn't lose last night. I've never
Yeah.
done that before. I just want to see us earn it in front of fans. I can't wait
It
for it,
would have
Rory.
been so anticlimactic if Arsenal had lost last night, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really would. It would have been. I mean, listen, I'm in a great city. I'm in Dublin, so it would have been probably the second best city in the world to watch. To be when Liverpool win. But it's not my home city. And everyone would have gone around the ground, but it's going to hit different. We've waited a long old time to win the Premier League in front of fans, and it is just the anticipation. You could feel it when like the last few weeks it's just building, and everyone, we're in an amazing place because we're sort of like, when do you want to win it? You don't get to pick when you want to win the Premier League, but we're so far ahead, and everyone was like, Tottenham at home, Tottenham at home, Tottenham at home. I mean, it could be anticlimactic on Sunday as well if we don't get the job done, but you wouldn't probably pick a better side to play to beat.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic to be there on Sunday. You're starting off the weekend with a bang, though. You're going to be in Cork tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to it. We've just done we're on a bit of a two-leg tour at the moment. So we've just done Dublin last night. Dublin was just amazing. The crowd were incredible. And we're in Cyprus Avenue tomorrow night. There's still a few tickets left actually. If you go to ticketmaster.ie. So yeah, Cyprus Avenue, RedMen TV live, which is, we normally like do podcasts and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
that's what people know us for. This isn't a sit-down podcast. This is, if you're a Liverpool fan, one of the best nights of your life. And that's not me saying that. That's what people told me last night. We bring Mark Kenny, a really talented musician. So he does an hour of the Liverpool hits after we've been on. And we're just chatting Liverpool. We're having a go at Manchester United and Everton and Arsenal and everything else. It really is a sensational night, and we're really proud of it.
What's it like being on tour? And I suppose, talk to me about the connection between Liverpool and Ireland. I imagine you'd see a lot of that, like going out and about meeting the Irish fans.
Yeah, it's amazing because Liverpool is a very outward facing city because of the port. We've always sort of been like
Mm.
that, and I think actually we prefer to face outward and welcome people in than look over our shoulder because we don't really feel a part of the rest of the UK. And certainly England, and as Scousers, we feel that sort of connection with the Irish. Obviously, lots of young Irish people come over to go to university. So when you're around sort of 18 to maybe 30, working in bars and restaurants or just in university, you get friends with loads of Irish people who then go off and go to Australia or all these other places or go back to
Mm.
Ireland. But there is a deep connection, and I think socially and politically there's quite a lot of connection there between Scousers and stuff. And certainly when it comes to the football team, there is a big connection because there's no more passionate fans than an Irish Red in my eyes.
Mm. Talk to me about the season that you've just had, Chris. The transition between Arne Slot and Jurgen Klopp seems to have been seamless to the point where, like, there was a lot of worry, I suppose, obviously, when Jurgen was leaving. But for Arne to come in and do the job that he's done is nothing short of sensational.
You're absolutely spot on. It really is. I mean, we've seen so many managers over the years come in at big clubs who followed legendary managers,
Mm.
quite frankly. I'm thinking of David Moyes at Manchester United, following Alex Ferguson. I'm thinking of, Unai Emery followed Arsene Wenger at
Mm.
Arsenal. And even to be fair, like, Everton themselves had David Moyes for about 10 years, and since he left, they've been struggling. So it's very difficult, but there's something in the fabric of Liverpool where we believe in the boot room from years ago, and I was brought up on stories of my dad of the succession from Shanks to Paisley to Fagan, Dalglish, all that type of stuff. And we thought it would be easy, and I don't think it really should be easy. I think it should be difficult. But Klopp was the modern day Shankly. He built the club up, he laid the foundations. And what we're seeing now is on a slot by the looks of it coming in and being Bob Paisley, which is to say, just win trophies. And that's what we're really hoping for right now. And Massive credit to everybody behind the scenes at Liverpool. Massive credit for Jurgen Klopp for knowing when it was the right time to hand over and not doing it like at the end of a football team cycle. He really rebuilt and revitalised that midfield, and Slot's come in and tactically, you've got to say he's managed the squad, the same squad for the most part,
Mm.
maybe even better than Jurgen Klopp.
How did the style of football evolve?
Well, that's that's the million dollar question, I suppose, because I think there are more similarities than differences, certainly. Obviously it's a lot of the same players. It feels to me like Arne Slot is a little bit more pragmatic in his approach. Lots of the same sort of triangles, lots of the same sort of pre-programmed sort of moves that you see, underlapping runs from fullbacks, etc., etc. But there's no tendency to rush things. And I think Jurgen fed off the Anfield crowd and leaned into the
Mm.
Anfield crowd, and we'd really get them going and get the juices flowing, and boom, boom, quick basketball style football end to end. And Slot just come in and gone, that's great, really fun to watch. But let's just win more games of football. And you do that by being a little bit more controlled, a little bit more measured. And nothing to me said that, like the last game at Anfield, because we didn't rush maybe 70 minutes into the game. In fact, sorry, it was the last
Mm.
away game. 70 minutes into the game, a Jurgen Klopp side would be going hell for leather to try and get that goal. But Liverpool were just quite slow and structured in their build-up, and just believe that they were doing the right things and the goal was going to come, and you couldn't have write the narrative really, because Trent Alexander-Arnold got the goal that did eventually come.
I'll ask you about Trent in a bit, but before that, what's been the highlight of your season? What's been the game where you've gone, right, this Liverpool team are class?
Um, can I give you a week instead? Because beating Manchester City and Real Madrid 2-0
Mm.
at home in the same week, Wednesday to Sunday, I think it was just fantastic. And that was when I think I knew it was a serious football team who had serious ambitions of winning big trophies this year. Because that week was, for me, it was a bit of it could have been a breaking point for Liverpool, but they used it to just sort of propel themselves forwards, and they got the confidence from that. So yeah, beating Real Madrid and beating Manchester City in the same week was it.
Mm. Is there much disappointment over the Champions League exit?
Oh, there's always disappointment, isn't it? I mean, I'm I'm delusional. I still think we can catch Real Madrid in terms of
Mm.
trophies. So anytime we go out, it's another year gone, and I'm thinking, well, we're 9 behind now. I might be about 90 by the time we catch up with them or something. So, now I'm 91 in my head. So yeah, there was. But listen, I think, Liverpool were the best team in Europe for the first half of the season. And quite honestly, I think we came up against a better side than PSG.
Yeah.
Um, and you got to take your lumps, haven't you? That will hopefully fuel us to be better next year, because we know what the level is in the Champions League, and I think PSG set it.
Yeah. Speaking of next year, two very important bits of business done with Mo Salah signing his new contract, Virgil van Dijk signing his new contract. Two huge pieces of business for the club.
Absolutely. There was none bigger, actually. If the three guys that were running out of contract in Virgil, Mo and Trent, I had Virgil and Mo as one and two in terms of importance for this
Mm.
Liverpool side moving forward. Obviously, you've got the captain, the leader of this dressing room and this team, um, who has been nothing short of sensational in Virgil van Dijk since he's come into the football club. Obviously, Mo Salah has had another all-timer of a season. 7 years on from that breakthrough season, and more goals and assists this time around combined than that first year at 32 years old or whatever. I mean, it's absolutely scandalous. It's ridiculous, and
Yeah.
it needed to get done. But we needed to also prove to them that we're the right place for them. And I think Arne Slot has done that this season, because, we see maybe, 90 or 180 minutes of them a week. But if they'd not liked Arne Slot's training, or if they'd not liked the behind the scenes and how that had all changed, you can forgive them for seeing what work looks like, can't you?
Mm.
For the best part of the year. And then it's about, can Richard Hughes get the job done in terms of contracts? And thankfully he has.
How much hurt will there be if, as expected, Trent does go to Real Madrid, or is there still hope out there that, look, a deal can be reached?
Listen, I feel very torn on this, because as a Scouser, as a boyhood Liverpool fan who dreamed of, playing in red, I could never understand the decision. It's unfathomable
Mm.
to me. But my anger's kind of subsided. I'm 42 years old now. I haven't got time to hold grudges for footballers who want to make a living and go and do things. You know what I mean? And I leave that to the younger generation to fume all the time about it. But I'm disappointed. Of course, he's a fantastic footballer, but equally as a bit of a pragmatist myself, 300 grand a week for a right back seems a lot of money, especially with the ownership that Liverpool have.
Yeah.
Like, quite tight, aren't they? So 300 grand a week seems like centre forward money. It seems like 30 goals a season and 15 assists to me. And,
Mm.
Trent over the last couple of years hasn't got 15 assists and 30 goals. As wonderful a footballer as he is, I think he will go and be sensational wherever. And if he stays brilliant, he's going to be sensational. Um, but Liverpool doesn't end when Trent Alexander-Arnold leaves. There's an opportunity for us to get better.
Mm.
So if he does leave, grasp it with both hands.
And who would you like to see Liverpool bring in for next season?
I love Conor Bradley, mate. I think he is absolutely sensational. The worries, of course, is the injuries, and I think every
Mm.
Liverpool fan knows that. But I think somebody to come in and compete. I mean, there is no like for like for Trent Alexander-Arnold, so maybe you go someone like a Frimpong or something like that, a bit more of a winger style right back, I suppose. We've seen a huge swathe of centre halves being played at right back. I don't like it personally, not at Liverpool. I want someone who can bomb up and down like Conor
Mm.
Bradley does, but he is more than capable of being a sensational number one right back. Hopefully his injuries are just sort of growing pains as he gets used to his body because he's that sort of age. So, but no, I'm more than happy with him. I would like to see strength us strengthened elsewhere. I'd love to see Kerkez brought in from Bournemouth or Dean Huijsen for rumoured £50 million. And a centre forward who's going to score 30 goals a
Mm.
season would be nice as well. But I am quite greedy.
That would help, all right. Have to ask about Caoimhín Kelleher. He's obviously deputised so very well for Alisson when he's been called upon. He looks like a proper Premier League goalkeeper. So there's a lot of talk that he's going to exit Anfield this summer.
Yeah, it's such a shame, really, because, in another world, if maybe Alisson was a couple of years older or something, Quivine would be stepping rightfully into those
Yeah.
boots and gloves as the number one goalkeeper of Liverpool. But the timing just hasn't fallen quite right for him. But this is a guy who, people keep saying to me, he's the best backup in the league. He's
Mm.
not a backup goalie. I find it quite disrespectful. He's a number one who sits on the bench.
Mm.
Now, I know terminology and all that type of stuff. But for me, he starts for every other team in the Premier League. That's how good Quivine
Yeah,
Kelleher
yeah.
is. It just happens that he's behind who I consider the best goalkeeper in the world, and there can't be many goalkeepers out there who are better than Quivine Kelleher. Maybe Courtois, maybe Alisson Becker, as we know, and stuff like that. But realistically, this guy's right up there, and he can go and achieve anything in the game, and that's what he wants to do, isn't it? He wants to play regular football. He wants to be a starter because every time he's had that taste at Liverpool, he's excelled. I mean, he's literally won
Yeah.
us a cup with a penalty. He saved penalties to win us a cup. I mean, what type of goalkeeper does that? But that's the measure of the man.
Finally, Chris, just to wrap up and just look ahead to Sunday again. How many texts have you gotten looking for tickets since your phone melting?
Yes, a lot. Um, Funnily enough, there was a lot of people in Dublin last night who'd collared me. I think I remember saying to somebody about 2:30 in the morning that if you just get over, you can stay in mine. So there's a lot of people looking for somewhere to stay as well for Sunday. But yeah, it's interesting the people who crawl out the woodwork after years, and then you get a little text, any chance, and it's like, mate, come on, no chance. There's no chance. It's like
Yeah.
rock and horse shit. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, we get the same whenever Cork are in All Ireland final, like getting texts from like guys I went to school with like 30 years ago going, "Hi, boy, haven't seen you in ages. Any chance?" Just wrap it up, Chris. Just how special is it going to be to see Virgil van Dijk lift the Premier League trophy on Sunday?
Oh mate, it's literally the stuff of dreams, isn't it? Just having us win it, and then obviously Crystal Palace last game of the season, the guards of honour in
Mm.
between. Arsenal giving us a guard of honour is going to be fantastic, and Chelsea giving us a guard of honour, absolutely fantastic. Such a shame, really, we don't have Manchester United and Man City before the end of the season. Could have quite liked them as
Yeah.
well, but watching Virgil lift that trophy in front of a packed Anfield, there's going to be tears
Mm.
because I think about it and I'm sort of getting goosebumps now just talking about it because I know that I'm going to be thinking of people that I used to go the game with who aren't with us anymore, who've maybe passed in the last 35 years. I know I'm going to think of all those emotions and those seasons where the journey hasn't quite been there. I might actually think about Steven Gerrard's slip for the first time in 11 years. And I might think about all those close misses, the Aston Villa ones where Coutinho scores a goal to put them ahead and
Mm.
we're playing at Anfield. And I might think about Vincent Kompany hitting that screamer in from 40 yards, or, go back even further to Gerard Houllier finishing second, or Benitez in that sort of war with Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm going to think about all of that. And I think everybody in the ground's going to think of that journey of 35 years. I know it's 5 since we've won it, but there's going to be a lot of people there who think about a lot of weird things and like and it's going to be joy and emotion, and I might be able to move forwards. I might be able to drop some of those close calls now because I've seen us do it as a
Yeah.
man with my own two eyes.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely incredible occasion, sir. Enjoy every second of it. It's going to be an absolutely incredible occasion to savor on Sunday. And enjoy Cyprus Avenue tomorrow night as well. Tickets for that available on eventbrite.ie. Should be an absolutely cracking night for Liverpool fans. Doors there are at 7 o'clock. Chris, enjoy Sunday, pal, and I'll speak to you soon.
You're a legend. Thank you so much.